Hey, how's it going, you guys? Welcome to the Peach Crew. I'm your host, PeachMonkey, and I've got to say, welcome to the very first episode of the Peach Crew. I'm very ecstatic to go ahead and bring you guys a fantastico episode that is going to talk about a variety of topics that relate to video games. I have one big goal in mind when you hear that word, video game. And I'm going to go ahead and fill your ears with that information, and it is basically to be able to show people around the world that video games can help people through life experiences. Now, what do I mean by that? Help us through life experiences. Games don't help us. Well, I can definitely tell you that video games affect everyone differently. They all have a different impact on someone and also give everyone different memories and moments in their lives that could have been significant, traumatizing, or as well ecstatic. Because I can definitely tell you, for me, video games has had a very big impact. And going on with how video games can impact our lives, I'm going to jump into the question that I hear a lot, or I've heard people mention a lot when I talk about video games. Because I personally did surround myself around people that weren't really into video games when I was younger. But this is what helped me to really think about this question. And that question is, are games a waste of time? What do they teach you? Well, changuitos, the one thing I do want people to understand about that question is that to everyone, they have a different perspective of how video games affected them or what it means to them. But that is because they either have had the experience with video games or really never just gave it a chance. But to others, people have grown up on games, and video games have been, like, let's say, their building block to living in life, or their foundation of like excitement. And the reason why I mentioned this is because, to me, video games have actually helped me through my life experiences and taught me a lot of life lessons that I still use till today. And I believe many people around the world also have that same feeling, where they still reminisce about a game or actually learn something from a video game that helped them become the person they are today, or actually help develop their personality. That's the beautiful thing I would say about video games is that depending what you play, depending what age, whether you're young or if you're older, they all give you some sort of experience that you will cherish, whether it's a child or an adult. You will look back and, no lie, it will make you smile, even the frustrating parts. And the reason why I bring this up is I want to go ahead and lead you guys into my experiences real quick about video games, to go ahead and give you guys the experience of what video games did for me and how it actually helped me grow up. Don't worry, I'm not going to fill your ears with too much about my history, because I want to learn about you guys over time. But I'm going to go ahead and jump in with Super Mario World. Now, those of you that know what Super Mario World is, you guys already got a head start of the game, but I'm going to go ahead and give a brief insight of it. So, Super Mario World is a 1990 platform game that was actually made by Nintendo for the Super Nintendo Entertainment System. And the story follows, basically, Mario is on a quest to save Princess Peach, and he's actually in Dinosaur Land, is in the land of the Yoshis for the first time. And of course, you have your villain, the antagonist, Bowser and his minions, and what they call the Koopalings, which are his little children, I believe, to this day, even though they aren't, and it was classified them not being his kid. But the gameplay follows all similar Mario games, where your goal is to basically go through 8 worlds. You're having to fight these enemies that try to stop you, and as well, you're trying to just basically reach the end. But the goal of the Mario Bros is to go ahead and get to the end of that level so they can go ahead and save the princess. Now, I actually cherish this video game, Super Mario World, because at this time, it taught me one important lesson that I feel like many people learn, but in different ways, and that's to never give up. Now, I can definitely tell you myself, PeachMonkey is very stubborn when it comes to giving up, because I want to do what I can to always accomplish a task or actually keep on trying and trying. But I do want to thank Super Mario World for that, because it actually helped me understand that you don't have to give up no matter what. There's always going to be many things that are going to try to face or get in the way of you of accomplishing a goal. there's always something that wants to stop you. You know, it's like a video game. You always have these enemies and obstacles. But this is where you have the choice to always keep on going. And the thing about Super Mario World, it starts off like this, to give you guys a brief insight. You start your level, right? You usually have 300 seconds, which is 3 minutes in the gameplay. And your goal is to basically get to the end of the level before those 3 minutes. Now, when you go through that process of actually trying to accomplish the level or beat the level, it's not going to be a one-way ticket from start to end where it's just a straight, easy line. No, you're going to have your enemies that try to come across your path. You have your Goombas, you have your Koopa Troopers, you have your Bullet Bills, you have your Petey the Piranhas, you have all your enemies that are trying to make sure you do not reach that ending or reach that goal, because they want to basically accomplish Bowser's task, in which is to stop you from getting Princess Peach, right? So this is the thing about that game that made me think back and relate to those experiences in a video game every time I was facing a life experience of my own or facing moments that feel like forever. How many of you guys, for example, have ever tried to accomplish a project, whether you were in elementary school, high school, middle school, and you either failed that project or while you were going through and doing that project felt like you were never going to accomplish it? You know, this is why I relate life experiences like these of a project to Super Mario World, because those projects are the same thing. It's like doing an essay. This is probably the best way I could explain it. You know, you're given a topic that you have to do. You are to write about either something you have no idea that you're going to write about, and you could even be lost. But that first steps feels like you're trying to jump over a pit of fire or trying to jump over a Goomba that's trying to bite you in the butt. And, you know, it's trying to basically stop you from completing that essay. But you have the choice to either let it stop you or actually, you know, giving it a shot, failing at it, and learning from it and moving forward. I can definitely tell you this is some things I had to learn, because one of the biggest moments in my life, I can say, let's go to college. I'm going to go to you guys when I went to AIW, which was the Art Institute of Washington at that time. We all heard rumors that it was going to be super hard to pass the final exam. And the final exam, based off your major, you had to go ahead and complete a certain amount of designs or certain amount of levels, depending what category you were going into, to be able to pass that final exam. And you're actually being reviewed by 3 teachers. All those 3 teachers have to say, hey, you know what? Your levels are good, and they all come together and say your designs pass and you are ready for the real world to be able to create and design. Well, the funny thing, when it came to me, I was actually ready. You know, I had that mindset. I was like, I'm going to pass this exam with flying colors. I'm going to do great. And for me, I studied game design. I actually got my degree, BFA, in game and art design. Never did anything with it, but you know, it was something that I wanted to focus in. And in order to get your BFA, your bachelor's degree in game design, you had to complete 4 levels, because I studied level design. And those 4 levels had to go ahead and tell a story, give the viewers an experience, and your teachers that were grading your work had to really see that you understood on how to make a level. Well, my very first time going in thinking with a positive mindset, I got this, I'm going to ace it, I actually failed. And I remember being astonished, because I was like, I put in so much time, so much hours. I would literally be on the computer for hours, you guys. When I'm telling you hours, I would be on there from 7 a.m. or actually 8 a.m. all the way to 9 p.m. at night, trying to go ahead and create like an asset, which is basically like a prop in the real world, like a chair or a table or a shoe. It would take me hours to make something, and I felt that I was prepared. But come to find out, when I failed my exam, I was actually devastated. I put an expectation on myself that I was going to graduate within a certain time frame. And at that moment in time, I wanted to give up. I didn't want to continue at all. I remember just like having to go ahead and think another 3 months trying to prove to these teachers. And those 3 months actually meant another $3,000, because each class that you took at the AIW at that time was $1,000 each. I personally didn't have that money at that time like that. and it was hard. But I picked my shoes up and I told myself, you know what? Let's go ahead and do this. Let's go ahead and not let them stop me. Now, here's the twist though. Out of the 4 levels that I created, the last one, the one that I thought was the best, was the worst of them all. So my teacher actually told me, you have to throw that one away. And I'm like, throw it away? What do you mean? I got to start all over? And they're like, yeah, you got to start all over from scratch. I was, all in honesty, panicking in my head. Everyone that saw me, because I really have a hard time expressing my emotions at times, they thought I took it with ease, but on the inside, on my head, I was freaking out because I couldn't imagine going ahead and starting all over again and not even knowing what to do. But this is where, when I started thinking back to my video game experiences, that actually made me feel like I was hitting a crossroad, a path where I had to really decide, hey, either you're going to jump right back into this, or you're going to just let this eat you up and consume your thoughts. So I thought about Super Mario World at that time. And it's funny because that's what actually helped me get through actually trying again. When you play a level in Super Mario World, each level is different that you go through. And you have the choice to pick yourself back up after you get knocked down by an enemy. You have a certain amount of lives. We all, which is basically like our tolerance. We have a certain amount of tolerance that we can withstand something or keep doing something over and over again. And sometimes, it's okay if you can't withstand something and, you don't want to start over immediately. But when it comes to your dreams, your goals, your aspirations, it's very important that you don't let that knock you down, no matter what it is. And that's what Super Mario World was teaching me, that I got knocked down by a Goomba and I got bit in the butt by a piranha plant, but hey, you know what? There's going to be more piranha plants down the line that you're going to have to jump over and try to make sure you avoid. Probably I got one tooth stuck in a butt cheek this time, but next time I might not get that same tooth. And that's how I saw it. I saw it as these enemies in the Mario game are just trying to stop me. It's like basically comparing my teachers to the enemies. One of them was a Bullet Bill, one of them is a Koopa Troopa and a Goomba. But I wasn't going to let that stop me. So what I ended up doing was I went ahead and scratched that level, threw it all away, and started all over. And I actually ended up creating one of the best levels within only 3 months, because I've actually was able to spend months and even years on those levels that I had to prepare earlier on for my final. And I saw that what I was capable of, and being able to actually create a level within such a short amount of time and it being the best level, I cried out of excitement because I couldn't believe that I was able to do this. I looked at other people that were better at me and better at level design, and I never thought that I would have been able to do it. I had so much fear in being able to accomplish that task and doubting myself many times and telling myself, you can do this, but in the back of my head, I was fighting with another monster that was telling me you couldn't do this. And that's why I would have to thank Mario for that. And if it wasn't for Super Mario World and giving me that moment in time to really just think about my enemies as video game characters that were just in my way, I probably would have never continued. And so this is one of the things that Super Mario did for me. It really showed me that you don't have to give up on what you want. You don't have to give up when you feel like you've reached an end or you feel like something is trying to stop you from accomplishing your goal. And this is the beautiful thing about games, is that it teaches all this life experience in different ways or affect us differently. I can go ahead and give you another experience about Mario. Once you go ahead and reach the bosses, for example, once you reach, let's say, Iggy or Wendy, those were one of the hardest bosses for me. That's why I remember their names from the top of my head. That's the moment in time that you're put to the test of like, hey, show us what you got. You went through these levels, you jumped over these enemies, you dodged lava, you didn't get crushed by sand. Now go ahead and fight one of the Koopalings and show us that you can go ahead and get past us so that you can get one step closer to Princess Peach. It's pretty crazy because that experience in fighting the boss battles relates to all of our experiences of trying to overcome something. Whether you're currently in school and you're trying to overcome a art assignment or a lesson or an essay or a math exam, or even you're just trying to overcome a challenging a life experience that is having you feel like you're hitting a brick wall. That boss battle that you go through, and once you accomplish it, will make you feel like a superstar. And that's the same thing when you overcome challenges in life that feel like they're never going to end. You feel relieved. You feel like you've done something for yourself that makes you a better person and a step closer to your dreams, or a step closer to actually getting closer to knowing yourself or accepting things yourself. It's okay to fail. And the only way to fail is by letting yourself fall down. You're going to have to get a couple of scars. You're going to have to get a couple of boo-boos. But when you don't give up on what it is that you want or that you feel confident about, it will help you. It will help show you that you are capable of much more. And the thing about that, I can tell you, one of the big boss battles that I had to go through was in third grade. And for me, in third grade, I remember I had a parent-teacher conference that my mom had to actually go to. And during this parent-teacher conference, I was fearful for my life because I knew either I was going to get the butt whooping of my life or I was going to, be praised for the work I did. But in third grade, I barely did any work. And it was only because I was blind. I swear. It was because I was blind. I couldn't see. I didn't have glasses at that time. But I remember during this parent-teacher conference, my mom ended up talking to my third grade teacher. They were talking about what I did in class and how I was paying attention in class and the work I would do. As I mentioned, I couldn't see the board and I used to sit far from class, but at that time, my parents didn't believe me and the teacher didn't believe me as well when I told her I couldn't see, so I spent a lot of my time drawing. But she would go on and tell my mom that I actually am failing, I'm not learning anything, that I'm not progressing, and she had the nerve to actually tell my mom that I wasn't going to make it to college. And I remember that moment in time when I actually heard the teacher say that, because as a kid, the adults are talking. They're doing what they got to do. They got to talk about you. They got to talk about your performance. And, you're off to the side in the classroom, wandering around or in the back of the classroom. But I remember that moment in time, I was going to my desk, getting my stuff together, and they didn't want me to hear it, but I remember just hearing it loud and clear. My third grade teacher telling my mom, your child is not ever going to go to college. Like, he's not going to go to college with the way he's learning or the way that he's progressing. My mom actually took that offensively, and I'll never forget, because I remember I just stopped in my actions and was like, wow, someone actually said this about me, that I wasn't going to make it to college. And I remember it was always my dream to go to college for my mom. I wanted to basically prove to her that I can do it and help her out. And, at a young age, I understood what my mom was going through. I understood the struggles. But then to hear my teacher tell my mom that actually broke me at that time. But thinking my mom was going to be disappointed in me, she actually got up, was angry, and she told the teacher, she's like, you don't determine what my child does or how my child's learning goes. It's your job as a teacher to be able to help him, to be able to show him and guide him. But I'm going to prove to you that he's going to go ahead and be the one that ends up going to college. And years later, I did. I ended up going to college, and that was one of the toughest boss battles I would say that I had to face, because at first, I really felt like I wasn't smart enough to be able to go to college. I felt like I wasn't even capable just by hearing those words. And I would constantly think back every time I would fail that I wasn't going to get to that point in my life, that I wasn't going to be able to go to college. But through that experience, it did actually teach me, like, hey, there are going to be these Koopalings, these enemies like Iggy, Wendy, or Morty. I think it's Morty or Moron. Correct me if I'm wrong. But it's going to be like one of those bosses that are going to make a change in your life. They're going to make you feel like you cannot accomplish it. So I had the choice. I had to listen to her or move forward. And I picked my foot up and kept going and was like, hey, I'm not going to let this one person stop me from believing what I can do or believing in what I am capable myself. This is why I found that very important, because it was one of the turning points in my life where I actually told myself, hey, you're going to get through this. You may not be the smartest person in the world. You may not be the 100% brightest, but you're gonna go to college. And that's what I actually would do when I go home. I would go home, tell myself that I'm going to accomplish it, and then I would actually go ahead and play Super Mario World. It actually helped calm me down and actually helped me put my mind into the right mindset. I would actually tell myself while playing video games or trying to get through a level, you're going to complete that assignment and you're going to prove your teachers wrong. It was the same thing that I would actually even tell myself while I was playing video games. You're going to go ahead and beat this boss. You're going to go ahead and get through this level. It feels like forever, but you're going to get through it. And this is my point. My point is that these life experiences that I went through, you guys probably have gone through similar things as well. And at moments in time, you probably felt like you want to give up. But this is where I'm saying from me to you, don't ever give up on the things that you want to accomplish. Or even when it feels like you're about to be neck deep in a pit of lava, no matter what you're doing or what you're going through, you have to pick yourself back up and tell yourself that you're capable of much more. Because believe it or not, the human body can withstand a lot of pain and a lot of damage. How do I know that? Well, those are things I learned from YouTube. But and it's pretty funny because it's like if we get a bruise, it's gonna hurt for a while, and the pain's gonna be there probably for 10 days, or it'll be there for, it could even be there for a year depending on the bruise you get. But one day that bruise is gonna go away, and when that bruise goes away, it's not gonna hurt the same way again. You're gonna be stronger and you're gonna be able to withstand it. That's the cool thing of it, and that's why it's very important, or that's why I find Super Mario very important to me, because it taught me when you don't give up, you can find new experiences, you can face new experiences, and you're always going to be tackled by different experiences that are going to try to knock you down. But when you overcome those experiences, you feel like you become the better version of yourself more and more every day. And through those experiences, it's like the same thing in Super Mario World. When you go through certain experiences, you end up learning something new about yourself that you never knew that you could do, or you end up developing a new skill. It's like the secret levels in Super Mario World. When you go through a level, I remember there's this one level that I used to cheat in all the time. Like, you can go ahead and have the choice of getting a fire plant, or you can get the flying leaf that helps Mario fly through the sky, and as well you get a Yoshi. And once you found out about that secret level, you can go there countless of times. So what I would do, I would go ahead and restock each time and be prepared for the next level, especially during my boss battles. I had to make sure I always had a Yoshi, because Yoshi, we all know, I'm sorry to say this, he was a sacrifice for all of us. It was worth it though. To this day, I praise Yoshi. Thank you, Yoshi, and your multicolored sacrifices for our need into accomplishing or passing the level that we had to get through. But that's the thing about that secret level. I was able to go ahead and reuse those items again because I found it by going ahead and trying to fail at a level that you had to go through to unlock that secret level. And then I got a whole new skill. It's like the same thing in life. When you're going through these challenges, you end up finding a new thing about yourself that you never knew you were capable of. You end up finding something new that applies to you that you either like or love, or even love about yourself. And the only way that you're going to go through that or ever find out those secrets is by never giving up and actually trying to get that experience. That's why it's very important that anytime you feel you're never going to get through it, that you always try your best. And it may sound redundant, or it may sound like a broken record, but that is kind of the secret in life. No matter how many times someone tells you that you can't do something, the only person that can tell you that you can never get over something is yourself. If you're studying for a test and you feel like you're not passing, then you probably never really studied before, or you haven't studied hard enough. You have to keep trying and trying and trying, because the answers is not going to be there for you immediately. It takes time. So that's why it's important to never give up. And that's why, for example, I find Super Mario World very important, because if I never had the experience of playing Super Mario, I would have never had that experience in thinking, okay, I won't let my third grade teacher at that time overcome my thoughts, or I would have never seen my final exam for my college as just another challenge. it really helped me get through those experiences down from childhood to an adult. And I'm really grateful for that because Super Mario has helped me through many life experiences. And if it wasn't for Mario, I wouldn't be the person I am today. So, this brings me back to the question that I asked earlier is, are video games a waste of time? What do they teach you? Well, video games are not a waste of time. And they teach you so many different life lessons that you can use as you get older. No matter whether you're 5, 10, 50, or even 75, you will always take something from an experience and use it in a different way. And it affects everybody differently. So for me, I saw Super Mario World as obstacles. Sometimes it felt like I was stuck and like things were never going to end, but it taught me, hey, pick yourself back up. You got 5 more lives. You're going to do it. And at times I would be confused. I wouldn't know where to get through to the level. Same thing in life. I never knew if I was walking the right path or if the option I decided or the steps I was taking was correct. But hey, I still went through and never gave up. I still kept going forward and kept pushing, and that's why when I stomped on my Goombas or I hit my Koopa Troopas and used their use their shells. Well, I'm telling you, sometimes I cannot speak, you guys. I used their shells and would throw them at the enemies and bam, it would knock them out. Same thing in life for me, and I'm glad that it really taught me that because it gave me the courage to basically take those chances and believe in myself. And this is why I want to be able to share these experiences with the world. I want to show people that games do teach us different life experiences that can help us the older we get. It all depends on what you do with that experience and what you learn from that game. Whether it's GTA, whether it's Super Mario, whether it's Saints Row, you name it, or even 2K. Like for NBA, I suck at that game and I still can't play that game to this day. But, they all have a different experience for everyone. That's why people get so involved in them. Or even Minecraft. I recently got into Minecraft and my goodness, I can't tell you, that game is amazing. I used to actually judge it. But that's a whole nother story for another day. But this is why I want to share this experience with the world, and I want to go ahead and be able to create the Peach Crew, not just for me, but for all of us gamers that feel like, hey, games do mean something to us. They make us into who we are, and they help lead us into the right path. They help teach us life lessons that not many people will actually understand. We all come from different backgrounds. We're all raised differently. And everyone has a different perspective on life, especially on games. The people that judge it that don't know about it, and the people that judge it and do know about it. That's why it's our goal to go ahead and show and enlighten people what games can do. This is why I want to bring these questions up. And this is what the Peach Crew is all about, where we can all share that experience with each other. So I hope your faces felt engaged and that you learned something new, and hopefully you learned something new about yourself. So what do games teach you? They teach you a bunch, and they can show you how to live. That's a fact. If you guys have any questions, please email the PeachMonkeys at pmgbananas@gmail.com. I would love to answer your questions and as well hear what you guys think about video games. That way we can go ahead and show the world that games mean much more to us than what they actually are, because we all are raised differently. We all have different backgrounds. It's our goal to actually go ahead and change the world. I have always felt like that as a kid, and I feel as people, that's what we're all capable of. Especially everything that the world is going through right now, it's very tough. And one thing that can help bring everyone together, in my perspective, is unity and change. And let's go ahead and take that first step together. So, I'm glad to fill your ears with this information. And once again, I hope you had a good time. Stick around, because next week we got some fun topics to talk about. Other than that, in and out with PeachMonkey here.